In this part of the documentary, we invite you to see some abandoned villages in different provinces of Iran. We will also recount some of the beliefs of ancient Iranians about death and the ceremonies that survivors performed to purify the places and make the souls of the dead happy. Join us in uncovering the secrets of this mysterious land by traveling in untouched and deserted places, as well as digging in Hindu and Persian historical texts. Please help us by sharing the video and subscribing to the channel. The first village, called Plateau, is located in the following geographical coordinates: 35 degrees, 5 minutes, 28 seconds north, 57 degrees, 22 minutes, 42 seconds east. This village is located in the foothills and on the edge of the Tabas Plain. In 1978, an earthquake led to the destruction and abandonment of the village's historical quarter. Its new quarter was built in the west of the historical quarter in a northeast-southwest orientation. Let's start our story from an ancient time, a time whose exact history has not been recorded, and it can be attributed to the time before the appearance of the Iranian Aryan prophet Zoroaster. Often, in people's attitude towards the dead, generally two types of reactions can be seen. One is accompanied by mourning and grieving because, in addition to emotions, in someone's death, at times, a person realizes his inevitable fate. Fear of death has very ancient roots in history and can also be seen in Pahlavi and Pazan sources. Ancient Iranians made sacrifices and offered food in their names to the dead because they thought that they needed food and supplies in the afterlife as well. This is why in ancient civilizations, various tribes and cultures would place the dead body's belongings with some food in the grave alongside the deceased. In an ancient text from the pre-Zoroastrian period known as the Ram Yazd, or the 15th Yazd, a deity called Vayu, worshipped by the early Aryans of eastern Iran, is portrayed as a powerful figure with numerous responsibilities in the region during that time. Vayu is the god of death and the dead, the god of war, the god of fate, the god guardian of the souls of the dead, the god who gives death and creates life. In other ancient texts, such as Vandidod or Augemadecha, several gods and demons who accompany Vayu are mentioned. One of them is called Daruks Nasu, the demon of death. This demon is mentioned in the old texts. When the demon of death looks at the living or his shadow falls on someone, the person will be separated from his body at the end of his life. When the demon of death has done its work, two servants of death, who are violent demon gods, brutally bind the man, kidnap his soul, and take him through a dreadful and tough road to a place where he must answer for his deeds in life. It is mentioned in the old texts that when someone died in the family, the residents would leave the house for a long time, and it would remain abandoned for fear of the spirits of the dead. And to return to the said house, a ritual would then be conducted by Kerpans or shamans to purify the house and chase away the spirits. The corpse would not be taken away immediately because they believed that Far, or the light and glory of the house, would go out with them. So they would make a hole in the wall of the house and secretly take out the dead body and carry it through winding roads to the crypt or the cemetery, so that the soul would not find their way back home or would not be able to take the glory, prosperity, and brightness of the house with them. We continue our journey and reach a village in Kerman province at the following geographical coordinates: 30 degrees, 53 minutes, 54 seconds north, 56 degrees, 36 minutes, 5 seconds east. Gisk village is in the north of Kerman province, located in Zarand city, a village that was deserted due to an earthquake in 1978. A beautiful village at the foot of the mountain with red houses built on different levels. Underground halls and bazaars with stunning beauty. The first thing that comes to mind when one lays eyes on this village is the desire to know more about its history, architecture, and the mysteries within. In the book of Aogimadaicha, the soul of charity is talked about. Charitable souls are received kindly and are put before Ormuzd by angels in the afterlife. This book reminds us that everyone who comes to this world will have to walk the path of death. Therefore, they had better make their destiny in heaven. Then for proof, reasons are given, and people are warned to take heed, as man's feeble body must stay away from evil deeds and attachment to demons of lust, greed, and material wealth. On the Judgment Day, there will be nothing but regret and retribution. An individual should always keep death in sight, and by doing good deeds, they will receive salvation, as they are only weighed on their good deeds. Everything is mortal, except purity and piety that come from good people, from whom these qualities will never be separated. In this book, it is again emphasized that the demon of death was sent by Ormuzd to put fear in people's hearts and impart to them the knowledge that no one can escape death, be it a king, a good person, or bad. In the end, death is everyone's destiny, and all must walk this path. In this world, all barriers are passable. You can cross a roaring river, you can pass an angry dragon, but the only obstacle that cannot be crossed is death. We continue our journey and we reach a village near the city of Ashqabad Tabas. An abandoned village called Rabat Badam Tak has nothing but crude mud walls, abandoned houses, and monuments. Now let's go back to our story. After the appearance of Zoroaster, to a certain extent, the beliefs of Iranians about the afterlife and the world of the dead changed. Zoroaster proposes three basic principles for the refinement of human deeds and for achieving the path of truth and righteousness. These three stages also have their own logical sequence. First, good thoughts. A person calls himself I, that is, someone who has the power to think and find solutions. Second, good speech and words. Good and tactful speaking, which is the result of good thinking. The result of the two previous stages becomes the basis for good deeds. As in Zoroastrianism, laws and the concept of atonement and sin were formed later. Zoroaster did not present precise concepts of sin and reward and narrated them in their general form without specific detail. Deviating from the righteous path and gravitating to evil was a sin, and the sinner did it deliberately and by choice, for which they would receive a fitting punishment. The concept of heaven and hell were abstract concepts, and they differed from the physical attributes that emerged later in the Sassanid era. In the previous parables of the Aryan peoples, there were teachings about eschatology, resurrection, good and evil, and rewards and punishments. Zoroaster was aware of it, but the prophet selected what made sense within his intellectual limits, and these ancient beliefs endured the test of time and entered the later religion due to their roots and the acceptance of public opinion. The main point of Ashu Zoroaster's teachings is the principle of punishment for human deeds. Punishment and reward are definite and certain in religion. To understand the shifts in Zoroastrian beliefs about resurrection and the afterlife, particularly those emerging during the Sassanid era, we will examine several key issues. First, fire is presented as a central force in divine judgment, a tool of punishment and a test for both the righteous and the wicked, playing a pivotal role in resurrection and the dispensation of justice on Judgment Day. Later, fire ceases to serve as a tool for judgment, and revered as the son of Ahura Mazda, it becomes solely a symbol of justice. In the beliefs of the Sassanid era Magi, hell is instead depicted as a dark, cold, and foul-smelling place. Another term related to eschatology and resurrection is the Chinvat Bridge, the bridge on which the souls of the dead will be judged for their deeds in the afterlife. After the reckoning, the souls of the dead must cross that bridge to their destination in the afterlife. For those who uphold truth, the bridge is broad and easy to cross, leading them to heaven. However, for those who embrace lies and deceit, the bridge becomes as sharp as a razor or as thin as a hair, making it impossible to cross. As the souls of the damned attempt to cross, they are cast into hell. In Zoroaster's original teachings, these concepts are straightforward, unaltered, and easily understood. However, in later periods, they became interwoven with legends and myths rooted in beliefs of the Magi, taking on a new character and complexity. We will examine this transformation later. Let's continue our journey to Yazd province near Kharanak. We reach an area called Shahranau in the following geographic coordinates: 32 degrees, 24 minutes, 5 seconds north, 54 degrees, 53 minutes, 33 seconds east. An abandoned village where the remains of structures from the Qajar era and older periods can be seen. There are the remains of a water tank, an aqueduct wells, and a cemetery of palm trees. We shall also continue the story by examining another old Iranian belief about the afterlife. Farwashis, the benevolent and powerful spirits of past souls. In the 13th Yazd, one of the ancient Iranian hymns predating the prophet Zoroaster, mentions are made of Farwashis and favors they bestow upon humans, along with the duties humans have towards them. These Farwashis are introduced as allies of the god Ahura Mazda and the deity Mehr, or Mithra. They aid faithful believers in battles and are portrayed as protectors of water, plants, and animals, safeguarding humanity and its future generations. In the 13th Yazd, they are said to accompany Urmazd. Urmazd says, "It is from their glory and strength that I preserve this material creation, and through their assistance I have gained the ability to do so." In the biggest festival of the Aryans, which is held at the beginning of spring, a festival called Baradaran, these benevolent spirits descend upon earth and are honored by believers. This ancient belief has been in practice for many a century and is evident in popular religions of our time. In the old beliefs, it is said that the Farwashis are like the god Mithra, who is merciful and connected with the world of the dead.